In the New England region of the United States, two former baseball players, Ben and Mickey, try to survive a zombie apocalypse. On another day on the road, the two find a house, and Ben goes to check what's inside while his friend keeps watch outside. While waiting, Mickey listens to music on his old Discman, when suddenly Ben comes out of the house, shooting with his revolver. After eliminating the infected, the two flee and continue their journey without a destination, looking for supplies and a place to spend the night. In another house, the pair find an infected old man with his arms tied to a column in the basement. Ben then hands his gun to his friend to shoot, and even though Mickey doesn't want to do it, he insists, as the two need to adapt to their new reality if they want to survive. After much insistence, Mickey points the gun at the zombie and pulls the trigger, with the two collecting supplies from the house and leaving. Throughout the trip, they camp in forests, distract themselves by drinking beer and listening to music, and practice their throws. After resting, the journey continues and Ben finds a cabin in front of a lake. With his baseball bat and revolver in hand, he goes to check the house, and apparently there is no one around. With the place secure, Ben goes to the lake and calls Mickey to teach him how to fish, once again insisting that he learn survival tips. However, the player sees no need for this, as they have canned tuna for most of the trip, and just wants to listen to his Discman. Ben then gives up on fishing, and the two soon build a fire before going to sleep. The next morning, Mickey wakes up and sees his friend writing in his notebook, counting how many zombies he has eliminated since the zombie outbreak began. He has just added 2 more to the list, with the bodies lying in front of the cabin. Seeing this, Mickey questions his friend about saying that zombies don't appear in forests, but Ben explains that they are less present in the countryside, being more numerous in large cities. Even so, they can't take any chances, and after grabbing their equipment, the pair continue to explore the area, when they find a car nearby. Ben goes to check if there's anyone inside and comes face to face with a female zombie, who starts moving towards him. Without hesitation, he shoots the woman and eliminates her without difficulty. Ben then checks to see if the car is still working, and luckily for the two of them, they now have a vehicle and can travel faster on the road. Along the way, Mickey remembers a girl he was in love with and asks the two to stop by the place. Even though he is against the idea, Ben agrees and drives to the street where she lived, but as expected, there is no one around. Even so, Mickey goes to check the girl's room, and among her things, he finds a CD with the name Laura on it. He puts the disc in his Discman and listens to the songs she liked to hear, in an attempt to remember the girl and a more normal life. After that, he and Ben search the house and find more supplies, including water, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. With the street empty and the house in perfect condition, Mickey believes this is a good place to live and suggests they stay there for a while. However, Ben is against the idea and says they can't stay in one place or they risk being surrounded by zombies. His friend loses his patience and says he is tired of these meaningless trips because he wants to rest in a house and have a minimum of comfort. However, Ben reinforces that the world is dangerous and reminds him of when they first encountered the zombie outbreak. The two were at Mickey's parents' house when the entire family was infected and the friends had to lock themselves in the house for 2 months to avoid being devoured. When they managed to escape, Ben realized that the situation had become critical and did not intend to stay trapped, waiting for his end. Unhappy, Mickey gives up on the idea, and after gathering supplies, the two set out on the road again. Despite the zombie threat lurking, Ben and Mickey still manage to enjoy the beauty of the rural environment. The pair even find a herd of cattle in a corral that seems untouched by the zombie attacks. Finally, the two take another break and Mickey continues listening to music while checking some walkie-talkies he found at Laura's house. Ben calls out to him, but when he realizes his friend isn't listening, he pretends to be a zombie and attacks him, taking off his headphones. Mickey is annoyed by the joke, but Ben warns him that if he continues listening to music at that volume, a zombie could catch him off guard. Once again, Mickey doesn't like the lecture and says they'd better test the walkie-talkie. However, when they turn on the device, they hear the voice of a young woman named Annie talking to her contact, Frank. Without hesitation, Mickey contacts them, asking for help and a place where he and his friend can stay. However, Frank warns them not to look for him and tells Annie to change the frequency of the communicator. Even so, Mickey insists, saying that they can help him with the work, but Frank replies that he has no more room to shelter other people and ends the connection. Mickey is enraged by the man's selfish attitude, but Ben laughs at the situation, as he already expected this response. Even so, his friend says he will find Annie and Frank anyway, as he does not want to spend the rest of his life wandering through cities until a zombie devours him. The pair then set up camp in the forest and try to pick up any messages on the walkie-talkie. However, after days of waiting, they receive no response, and Ben insists that it is better for them to give up. Despite his warnings, Mickey decides to search the city, even if he has to go door to door. Minutes later, they arrive in a neighborhood and Mickey decides to check inside, but as soon as he opens the door, a couple of zombies appear to attack him. Ben gets angry, because he knew this would happen, and tells his friend to get in the car while he finishes them off. Mickey tells them to just leave and leave the infected there, but his friend is determined to eliminate every zombies he finds. The two begin to argue, and Ben tells Mickey to eliminate the zombies so he can get used to doing it. He refuses, so Ben grabs the baseball bat, and after knocking the two zombies to the ground, he begins to hit them in the head until he eliminates them once and for all. After the confrontation, Ben warns Mickey that sooner or later he will have to face them alone, and it is best to be prepared. Back on the road, the two stop again in a forest, and Ben goes to bathe in a lake. Mickey decides to sleep in the car, when suddenly he is awakened by a young zombie advancing toward him. Luckily, she can't get through the small opening in the window, and Mickey just backs away, when suddenly Ben appears and eliminates the infected with a well-aimed shot. After this scare, the journey continues, with the two exploring more abandoned houses until they find an isolated spot among the trees. Seeing that the place is safe, Mickey gathers his courage and goes to talk to Ben, saying that they will spend the night in the house and sleep in a real bed this time. Faced with his friend's insistence, Ben agrees to do so, and the two begin to put their things away in their rooms. However, Mickey realizes that his Discman is not in his backpack, and when he goes out to look for it, he finds Ben listening to his music. He asks his friend to return it, but Ben replies that the two will share the device from now on, so Mickey doesn't damage his hearing. Ben also warns that if Mickey doesn't accept reality and start being more careful, he won't be able to protect them for long. After giving him another lecture, Ben starts to assemble a bow and arrow, but Mickey is still angry with him and throws the arrows on the ground. Again, Ben ignores his friend's attitude and picks up the arrows, testing one of them on the bow, which is now ready to hunt animals and eliminate zombies. Later, before going to sleep, Mickey tries again to contact Annie on the walkie-talkie. To his surprise, she responds, telling him to give up, because the place where they live is not what he thinks it is, and the young woman will get into trouble if she continues talking to strangers. However, Mickey insists that he wants to go there, as there is nothing left of his life, and he does not want to continue traveling aimlessly. Annie asks about the friend who is with him, but Mickey lies, saying that Ben was just one of the players on his baseball team, and the two were never really friends. Even so, Annie is not convinced, and warns Mickey to change frequencies, or Frank may find out that the two talked. After ending the call, Mickey goes to sleep, and during that time, Ben continues listening to his Discman and finds a bottle of alcohol in the house. For the first time in months, he can relax a little and drink at will while dancing to the music. However, he thinks he hears a strange noise and runs to Mickey's room to see if everything is okay. His friend is still sleeping peacefully in bed, and Ben leaves the baseball bat next to him, just in case. The next morning, he leaves the house and encounters a zombie he had captured and left tied up, with its mouth gagged. Ben then takes him inside the house, and taking advantage of the fact that Mickey is still asleep, he pushes the zombie into his room and locks the door. Upon seeing the zombies, Mickey screams in despair, but Ben tells him he left the baseball bat by his side and orders him to eliminate the zombie. Mickey doesn't want to do it, but with no other choice, he begins to attack the zombie, until he eliminates it. After that, Ben opens the door and is proud that he finally mustered the courage to eliminate one of the zombies, but Mickey is furious at the prank and attacks him. Ben tries to break free, but Mickey punches him several times and leaves, in the middle of the rain. After recovering, Ben goes after his friend, who still has the zombie's blood on his body. He tries to convince Mickey to go home and get out of the rain before another infected person appears. Once he calms down, Mickey says he went and contacted Annie to ask for her help, but she refused because she would end up being kicked out of her hideout. Seeing his friend's situation, Ben once again asks him to come inside and promises that they will find someone along the way who can help them. Finally, the two resume their friendship, and over the next few days, Mickey tries to better adapt to Ben's lifestyle. In addition to learning how to fish, the player tries to enjoy the little moments, such as picking fruit and using it to practice baseball. Things remain calm for the two friends until they come across a stationary vehicle in the middle of the road. Ben seizes the opportunity and starts collecting fuel, but when he touches the hood, Mickey realizes that the vehicle is still warm. Fearing that someone is nearby, Ben tells his friend to be careful, but when he looks to the side, he finds Mickey being held hostage by an unknown man. With a knife pointed at Mickey's face, he orders them to hand over the car keys. Ben quickly points his gun at the man, who threatens to gouge out Mickey's eye if he doesn't drop the gun. However, Ben is not intimidated and asks who he is and what he intends to do with the car. The man introduces himself as Jerry and says he needs to get to Arizona to find his family in a shelter. The owner of the shelter allowed Jerry's wife and son to stay, but he would only be allowed to stay if he worked for the owner. However, even after doing so, he did not receive his reward and was returning to the shelter when the vehicle ran out of gas. After hearing everything, Ben immediately recognizes that Jerry is talking about Frank and tries to convince him to let Mickey go and take the car. However, Jerry orders him to throw his gun away, or his friend will be eliminated. In the midst of this standoff, Ben complies and says that the car keys are in the ignition, and now he can release Mickey and leave. The man then releases him and gets into the car, only for Ben to reveal that the keys were in his back pocket. Enraged, Jerry gets out of the car and tries to escape across the field, but Ben takes his gun back and shoots the guy, who falls to the ground, seriously injured. With his last ounce of strength, Jerry tries to crawl across the ground, but Ben catches up to him and fires another shot, finishing the guy off. Mickey is frightened by his friend's coldness and says that despite everything, Jerry was a human being and only wanted to find his family again. Ben replies that he also wants to do the same, but that his family is probably no longer alive at this point. Furthermore, the man tried to eliminate Mickey to get what he wanted, and for that reason, Ben feels no remorse for what he did. The two continue to argue when suddenly a truck approaches them. Without hesitation, Ben points his gun, but immediately afterwards, they hear a woman's voice asking him to lower his revolver. She says she just came to pick up the car parked on the road with her partner, Egghead, because it belongs to her employer. Ben then lowers his gun, and the young woman asks if they saw who was driving the car. Not trusting her, he replies that the driver was bitten by a zombie, and for that reason, he had to eliminate him, and his body is lying in the middle of the field. The young woman doesn't care to hear this, saying that the driver was a thief and got what he deserved. Finally, she and Egghead fill up the vehicle's tank and are about to leave, but Mickey recognizes the young woman's voice and asks if she is Annie. Upon being discovered, the young woman shoots Ben in the leg and threatens to eliminate them both, as no one can know about her hideout, known as the Orchard. Mickey insists that she help them, and in a crisis of conscience, Annie lets them live, but she takes the car keys and throws them into the field. After that, Annie tells Mickey to go look for them and not to leave in the car until she and Egghead are gone. Mickey obeys, and as soon as the two disappear down the road, he goes to look for the keys while Ben bandages his leg. Despite his efforts, Mickey cannot find the keys, and with night approaching, the only option left is for the two to rest inside the car. They agree to wait until dawn to look for the keys again and continue their journey. Hours pass, when Mickey hears a strange sound in the distance and calls Ben to see what it is. As soon as he turns on the car headlights, the two friends are faced with a horde of zombies slowly approaching. With no way to get out of the car, they lock the doors and hope the zombies will pass them by. Unfortunately, the zombies surround the car, and even though they can't get in, Ben and Mickey have no way to escape. Mickey suggests trying a hot start to get the car running, but neither he nor Ben know how to do that. The two then wait to see if the zombies give up and leave, but as the hours pass, everything indicates that they will remain there for a long time. In this situation, the friends try to distract themselves by listening to music and even sleeping, but the noise of the zombies begins to irritate Mickey. Another day passes and the zombies continue to surround the car, forcing the friends to use their blankets to cover the windows. Although the noise of the zombies continues, the two at least manage to avoid looking at them all the time and continue to wait. Still, their supplies are running low, and they have no idea what to do when they need to go to the bathroom. The hours pass slowly, and with the noise of the zombies becoming increasingly annoying, Mickey suggests that the two drink the rest of the bottle. With nothing else to do, the two start drinking everything, and the effect of the alcohol makes them ignore the zombies around them. In addition, they start talking about random topics, playing rock, paper, scissors, and singing their favorite songs. Finally, when the bottle of alcohol is empty, the two friends greet each other and promise that tomorrow, they will try their luck against the zombies. The next day, Mickey wakes his friend up, saying that he will climb out of the sunroof of the vehicle and try to get the keys. Ben asks him that if he doesn't find them, he should leave and not look back. However, Mickey promises he won't leave his friend alone, so he opens the sunroof and jumps out of the car. Immediately afterwards, Ben closes the vehicle again and waits, while the zombies continue to shake the car and make a lot of noise. The wait continues, but there is no sign of Mickey nearby, and Ben tries to distract himself by throwing his ball. Despite this, the persistent sound of the zombies outside makes Ben increasingly worried that something has happened to his friend. To make matters worse, his injured leg hurts more and more, and he starts talking to himself, asking Mickey to come back soon. Finally, Ben grabs his backpack and tries to find something he can use to fight the zombies, but his revolver is low on ammunition. Suddenly, he hears Mickey's voice calling him, and Ben quickly opens the sunroof, letting his friend in. Ben then asks if Mickey managed to get the keys back, but unfortunately, he was bitten on the hand by one of the zombies. Mickey despairs and asks his friend for help, but Ben knows there is no saving him. Even though he doesn't want to do it, he pulls out his gun and points it at his friend, ordering him to get out of the vehicle before he is forced to shoot. However, Mickey cries desperately, begging his friend to try to save him somehow. Faced with this critical situation, Ben has no other choice but to pull the trigger, eliminating Mickey with a single shot and ending his suffering. After shooting his only friend, Ben screams in rage, but there is nothing else to be done. He then covers Mickey's body with a sheet and begins to remember when they were trapped inside the house at the beginning of the zombie outbreak. Just as they did in the car, the two had to cover the windows and spent days in the dark, doing everything they could to survive. However, just as they did in the past, Ben decides to try his luck again, but first, he contacts Annie on the communicator. Even though she doesn't answer, Ben tells her how he and his friend managed to survive during those isolated days. He also tells her that he intends to do the same now, but this time he will have to go alone, as Mickey did not survive. Finally, Ben promises Annie that if he can't get past the zombies and gets bitten, he'll end it all with a shot from his revolver. However, if he gets past the zombies and stays alive, he'll go after her and her companions at the orchard, seeking revenge. He blames Annie for not helping them when they had the chance, and now everyone will pay dearly for it. Then, after delivering this message, Ben removes all the sheets, puts Mickey's headphones on, and gathers his supplies in his backpack. Finally, he opens the trunk door, and for a moment, the sunlight blinds him and he can't see. However, minutes later it is revealed that Ben was able to pass unscathed through the zombies, and the player appears limping on the road, while the horde follows behind him. None of that matters now, though, as Ben has a new goal to fulfill. With Mickey's Discman and baseball bat, he sets off on another journey, this time to take revenge on Annie, Frank, and everyone who lives in the orchard for refusing the help that would have saved his best friend's life. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.